Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. It means everything to me. Before we get started, I just wanted to say to everybody that has been reaching out to me, showing me support, I appreciate you so much. When I tell you I appreciate you, I truly mean it. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Please leave me a comment. Please leave me a like. It would mean so much to me. You guys are just the best, and I thank you. Vincent Lee was born on April 30th, 1968 in Dangdun, China. Not much is known about his early life, but what is known is that he graduated from Wuhan Institute of Technology and acquired a job as a computer software engineer. He moved to Canada in 2001 and earned his citizenship in 2006. Before gaining his citizenship, Lee was institutionalized when officers found him, quote, following the sun, which is something he claimed God told him to do. At some point, Lee married a woman named Anna and got a job as a menial worker at Grant Memorial Church, where he worked for 6 months. After quitting this job, Lee became a forklift operator and moved to Edmonton. While living in Edmonton, Lee would acquire many jobs. He worked in Walmart, he worked for a fast food restaurant, he delivered newspapers, and he also began getting frustrated because he had this degree, but he couldn't find a good job. Along with this, there was a language barrier for Vince that took a huge toll on him. In late 2005, Vince would be diagnosed with schizophrenia and it would be left untreated. Vince would be fired from his current job just weeks before this murder. Tim McClean was born on October 3rd, 1985 in Victoria, British Columbia. Friends and family described Tim as friendly and outgoing. He loved meeting new people, and he had no problem going up to strangers and making friends with them. July 29th, Vince left a note for his ex-wife Anna that said, quote, I'm gone. Don't look for me. I wish you were happy. End quote. Vince spent the night in Erickson on a bench in front of a grocery store. He had 3 pieces of luggage with him. He sold some of his items, including a computer, to a boy for $50. I'm guessing this is because he needed extra money. Tim was a carny, more specifically a carnival baker, so he's pretty used to traveling for his job. July 30th, 2008. So by all accounts, this should have just been like any other night for Tim. He boarded a Greyhound bus in Erickson at around 6:55 p.m., headed home. Vincent Lee would board that same bus sometime later. Initially, he sat in the front of the bus, and nobody really paid much attention to him. At one of the stops along the way, Lee would get up and walk to the back of the bus to sit next to Tim McLean. Exhausted from work, Tim looked at him. He gave him like kind of a nod. He put on his headphones, put his head up against the window, and just went to sleep. About an hour later, Lee pulled out a large knife and plunged it into Tim's neck and chest. Tim attempted to fight back, but that's when the attack intensified. Remember, Tim was in the back of the bus. He had seats in front of him, seats in back of him, and a window next to him. So he was essentially cornered, which made it really difficult to fight back. Once alerted to the situation, the driver, named Bruce, stopped the bus and tried to intervene, while the other passengers ran screaming. Lee would chase him away with the knife, though. The stranded passengers then watched in horror as Vincent Lee decapitated Tim, held up his head like a trophy, and began to eat his flesh. Shortly after 8:30, Royal Canadian Police would arrive at the scene while Lee was still on the bus. Lee attempted to escape, but the driver activated the emergency immobilizer, which made the bus unable to be driven, while strangers barricaded the doors and blocked them with crowbars and hammers. Lee would be heard saying, I have to stay on the bus forever. Royal Crown Police would call in negotiators in an attempt to defuse the situation. While this was going on, Lee would pace the length of the bus, eating more of Tim's lifeless body. This would continue until 1:30 a.m., when Lee smashed a window in another attempt to escape. Police tased him and brought him into custody. Once in custody, police would find Tim's ear, nose, and tongue in Lee's pockets. Tim's eyes and part of his heart were never found, and it's assumed that they were eaten by Lee.
Bruised and his legs shackled, 40-year-old Vince Lee made his first appearance in court to face charges that he stabbed and then beheaded his seatmate. It happened aboard this Greyhound bus traveling from Edmonton, Alberta to Winnipeg, Manitoba Wednesday night. Lee was charged with second-degree murder. An indication prosecutors don't believe the attack was premeditated.
Right now we're just asking for that a psychological assessment be done so that we can determine whether he's fit to stand trial or if he's suffering from any mental disorders or anything like that.
Authorities say Lee has no known criminal record and worked as a carrier for several newspapers in Edmonton, Alberta. One of his employers says he delivered papers until last Monday and then fell off the face of the earth. Police haven't provided details on the attack, nor have they identified the victim. But friends of the man who was decapitated say he was 22-year-old Tim McLean, a small, easygoing carnival worker they say would never go looking for a fight.
The hardest part was trying to explain to my kids that they'd never see Uncle Tim again.
He was like a brother. He was always there for everyone.
A witness who was sitting one seat in front of the two men said he didn't hear the two speak to each other before the attack. And he said the suspect wasn't sitting near the victim initially and had only been riding on the bus for about an hour. But he said Lee changed seats following a rest stop. Ross Simpson, The Associated Press.
Lee's trial began in 2009, and although he accepted responsibility for the crime, he pled insanity, saying he was not in his right mind when the attack took place. The judge would accept this not guilty plea and send Lee to a mental health care facility. Just 8 years later, doctors would say that Lee was completely rehabilitated and no longer a threat to society. He was released on February 10, 2017, and remains a free man to this day.
A man who beheaded a fellow passenger on a Greyhound bus may soon be walking the streets of Winnipeg unsupervised, and the decision is causing concern. Vince Lee is schizophrenic and was found not criminally responsible. After years of medication and therapy, doctors believe he presents little risk to the public. But there is some concern now about Lee's safety. Katie Nicholson explains.
It sickens me.
It wasn't the news Carol Dedelli wanted to hear.
Now he's going to be walking the streets of Winnipeg. I'm horrified by that.
Nearly 7 years ago, Vince Lee beheaded Dedelli's son, Tim McLean, on a Greyhound bus in western Manitoba and ate parts of his body. Lee suffers from schizophrenia. He was found not criminally responsible for the killing and has been living at the Selkirk Mental Health Centre ever since. On Friday, the Manitoba Review Board granted him new privileges. So long as he stays on his medication and keeps a working cell phone with him, he will be allowed to venture alone to Winnipeg on day passes. The board will also consider allowing him to move into a group home.
He feels great remorse. He feels great shame.
Mental health advocate Chris Somerville meets with Lee once a month. He's happy about the new freedoms, but worries about Lee's safety.
We hope nothing negative will come of this, but when you read the blogs and the tweets, internet conversation, I mean, there are a lot of people who would wish that he would just disappear from the face of this earth.
Minister Shelley Glover is worried too, but not about Lee's safety. In a statement, she says, "It's unacceptable that dangerous and violent offenders are released into our communities when they pose a threat to society. We made changes to the Not Criminally Responsible Act to ensure that dangerous offenders at risk of reoffending are kept behind bars where they belong."
Those decisions are made in a very conservative, small c conservative way.
This expert disagrees with Glover.
The review board's foremost consideration is public safety, and they do exercise that in a very risk-averse kind of way. So if you're seeing a decision like this one where there is some graduated risk, it's because there's overwhelming evidence that this person is not a risk to public safety.
Whatever its basis, the decision is made. Now it's a question of ensuring that both the public and Lee are safe. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Okay, guys, if you're still here, thank you. I appreciate you so very much. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't yet. It really helps me out, especially because I'm so small. Also, what are your thoughts? Was justice served? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time,